Hello friends, this is Will Dodd from Georgia Youth Science and Technology Centers, and in this video series I will be showing you how to take a 3D design from concept all the way to printing it out. So let's go ahead and get started. First, what I want you to know is we're going to be using Tinkercad today. So if you have not created an account in Tinkercad, I will link the video that shows you how to create an account in the show notes below. Now, I'm already logged into my account, and what I'm going to do is click Create New Design, because in this video series, we're going to go with a super simple design and just create a cube that has our initials on it. So that's a great place to start with Tinkercad. Now, CAD, if you're not aware, CAD, it stands for Computer Aided Design, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in Tinkercad. Now, the first thing I like to do in any new design on Tinkercad is I like to change this crazy name, Bodacious Cup Hango. I'm just going to change it to Dodd First Object. All right. Now, again, it's going to be a cube with my initials on it. So I'm going to just grab a box from my right panel here and just click and drag it out onto my work plane. Now, I want to resize this box. And my favorite way to resize the box is to click ruler, pull a ruler out, and simply change the size of my box from there. Now, I'm going to change the size of my box to 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. So all I did to achieve that was I clicked on the width of my box and I typed in 10. I clicked on the length of my box, I typed in 10. And I did the same exact thing for the height of my box. So I've got a really small cube at this point. And that's good because a really small cube is going to be really fast to print. And that's what we want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down on the right-hand side of my Tinkercad workspace. And I'm not seeing text. There it is. I missed it. So I'm going to grab text and I'm going to pull it out here onto my work plane. And I'm going to type or make this text my initials. And I'm just going to go with my first initial, which is W, because my name is Will. And I'm going to type in a W right here, and I'll make it a capital W. So what I want to do then is resize this W to be able to fit on my cube. And I know that my cube is only 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce my letter to under 10 millimeters. And the way I'm going to do that so that I don't make my W like short and fat or something like that is I'm going to hold down the shift button on my keyboard. And then with my mouse, I'm going to left click one of these white squares. And what I can do is make my W smaller, but I can keep it to scale so that it doesn't look funny. Because you do run the risk of like making it too tall or too short or something like that. But I am, let's see, 9.67 is the width of it. So yeah, we're good. We're underneath 10. So my W is now small enough to fit on my square. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how I'm actually moving around on the screen here, you might notice that the camera is moving around quite a bit on the screen. I do have a video showing you some basic moves in Tinkercad. I would encourage you to review that if you have not. And again, I will link that in the show notes. The next thing I want to do is I want to adjust my letter so that it's upright and I can just put it straight into my cube. So what I'm going to do is just change my camera angle. I'm going to go ahead, let me get rid of that menu. I'm going to click this curved arrow and I'm going to pull my W up to 90 degrees. There we go. We're at 90 right now. And that way I can just kind of slide that W right into my cube and it would be no big deal. But before I do anything else, I do want to make sure that my W is aligned with my cube there. But before I want to align it, I want to turn my W into a hole so that it will actually cut a hole in my cube. So I'm going to go back to this menu here and you can see I've had my W selected. It's a solid. I'm going to turn it into a hole by clicking hole right here. And it should turn gray, which is good because then it's actually going to cut a hole into my cube. Now, to get these lined up correctly, what I'm going to do is left click off of my work plane. And you can see my graphics card is doing some weird stuff, but I'm selecting both of my objects. Did you like that? I got a weird black square because of my graphics card, but I've selected both of my objects. What I want to do now that both objects are selected, my cube and my W, I want to go up to the top bar here and click Align. And when I click Align, I'm going to see a bunch of dots appear. Now, what these are dots that I can use to actually align the shapes that I have. Now, I want my W and cube to be aligned on their Z axis, which is the up and down axis. So I'm going to click the center aligned button right there. So that'd be the middle dot. So they're aligned on their Z axis now. I also want them to be aligned along their X axis, which would be like the left and right. So I'm going to click the center dot there, and you can see that lines them right up. And then for my Y axis, I want to click this dot because that's going to cause my W to be right in the front of my cube. So I'm going to click that, and you can see my W is right there centered in the middle. So what I can do now is I can click off here, and I'm going to select both my objects again, and I'm going to click the group tool. And what that's going to do is cut a hole in my cube. Now you'll see right here, I got some funny things going on with my cube here. See how the W cuts through the side of my cube? I don't really want that to happen. So what I can do is I can click this undo button, and that's going to pull back to my last edit that I made. So what I want to do is grab my W. I've clicked on my W, and I'm actually going to resize my W. So I'm going to click Shift and click on one of these little white squares, and I've resized my W to be smaller. Now I'm going to Shift click my box, and the reason why I press Shift and click is because that allows me to select two objects at once, and I'm going to realign those objects. So I'm going to click this middle dot again, this front dot again, and the middle on the Z axis again. All right, so I like how that looks. Let me group them and see if I get some weird holes cut. And we're looking good. We're all right. But you'll notice my box is down underneath my work plane. I don't know if you noticed that. And if I look at my ruler, it's -1.05 millimeters underneath my work plane. I want that to be 0. So I'm going to click on that and turn it into a 0. And you can see now my cube's looking pretty good. I think I'm ready to roll. So what I need to do at this point is I need to click export, because what I'm going to do is download this STL file, this design, as an STL file, as I just said. So I'm going to go ahead and click export, and I want everything in the design to download. So I'm clicking everything in the design, and I'm going to select STL, standard tessellation language. That's the type of file it's going to put out to me. So I'm going to click STL, and I should see, there it is, dot first object STL. That's going to show up in my downloads folder, which is going to take us into our next video. So in the next video, what I'm going to show you how to do is take that STL file and upload it into something called AstroPrint, slice it for our printer, and then actually put it on the printer and print it out. All right. So I will see you in the second video. See you then.